This house does not have an optimum placement. If it did, the front door would not be facing the estate. It would be facing the ocean, which is behind this house. And it's not that far behind this house. And so the idea is the back of the house butts up to a hill to protect one's back. We have that saying here in the West, protecting our backs. This is a Feng Shui impression of protecting your back. And on either side of the house, there would be a hill on the left and a hill on the right. And so the house would be nestled in the surround of these three sides of hills. So an enemy could not approach easily. They would have to climb and then climb down. And by the time they got to the top and started coming down, the people in the property would realize that the enemies were approaching. From the front, it's an expansive open space, so you can see what's coming at you. Again, it has to do with protection. And from a Western perspective, when I work with somatic dialogue and somatic movement, I understand the survival mode that is pre-thought. And so most of us live from our thinking process, thinking that everything originates from that portion of the brain. However, that is the last portion of the brain to be activated. If you walk into an environment that's dangerous, your prefrontal cortex will be the last to get a signal of information. Your body, your back brain, your first brain, your midbrain would already be responding to that danger before you were even putting it into a thought process. And so that is the stress levels in your body would be escalated. Your heart would be pumping faster. Your breathing would be faster before you even put thought to it. And so that's where I work with regards to functional movement, somatic dialogue, and the somatic influences in the environment. And the methods I use are the patterns of Feng Shui, the patterns of somatic dialogues, and the patterns of somatic movement integration. And so the somatic movement integration combines the functional integration of receiving the information, how it's filtered through the body, through the brains to the front brain, and you respond from that information. Most of us are reacting and we're not aware of that reaction. So the awareness component in Feldenkrais is turning it from a reaction into being a conscious action. It's a response. It's not a reaction. With regards to somatic dialogue, that is the little piece that's missing in the Feldenkrais. And thankfully, I already had that started in my pattern prior to taking Feldenkrais, because somatic dialogue also works with calming down that survival attitude or survival response. And it starts to balance it from a processing, how we process information, which is the last stage before it gets to the prefrontal cortex. It's part of that process. And then the somatic environment or space is the cause, one of the causes. It is an environmental cause for creating that survival instinct, that fight, flight, or freeze. If it wasn't the spatial environment that was influencing it, it would be your partner, it would be your friend, it would be your workers, it would be your peers, it would be somebody in the community. People are stimulating, and they're considered in my practice that I do as an environmental